to figure. Welcome to the creative dissection of Tough Times Never Last. I'm Lady Diana. Let's dive in. On September 9, 2025, in the interview with Annabelle, Sheila, Omen, and Johan discussed they would go to a middle farm in the outskirts to play and record. With 7 people writing, sometimes they would create separately and come together to piece each song. The album was 3 years in the making, and in those 3 years, each members had their own life changes. I got to see them on the June 21st Vancouver show, and during that time, during an intermission, speaks more on the subject.
7 minds and 7 ideas and 7 identities. And we said, what do we all want? And I think amongst all of us, we said we want to have fun. I just want to enjoy life, man. And I think that's a universal desire. It's very simple, but it's universal, man. And so we set out to write a party album, an album that we would play and people would come and enjoy and dance to and get down to. And we got to the first record and it was super serious. And then the next record was about loss, and the next record was about heartbreak, and and you realise, I think we learned a beautiful lesson in this record. We kind of have been trying to recreate a sound or strive and learn our instruments, but when we slowed down and really kind of let the world in and let ourselves be open and listen to one another and were gentle with one another, we couldn't filter out everything that was happening in our lives and everything that was happening around this crazy world. And that's the bad things, the hardship, loss, we had breakups, everyone had madness in their lives over the last few years, but then we also had beautiful things happen to us, and new relationships, joy, good food, I guess we kind of learned how much of an important role music plays in our life, and we got a renewed belief in the power that music has to hold people, to hold space, to build community and bring people into one room. And yeah, man, art is this wonderful thing that we believe in deeply. We wouldn't be here if we didn't really believe in the power that music and art and community and having people in the same place enjoying has. So we're going to celebrate that tonight. We're going to celebrate all of you. Tough times truly never last. Let's have some fun. This next one is Avenue 5. Much love, everybody. We are Kokoroko.
On January 1st, 2026, in the Hey You Listen to This interview with James Elliott, Io says the inspiration of the album name came from this meme first.
Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
On October 16th, 2026, in the KRCW interview, Sheila touched on how playing with different genres, you'll never play things perfectly. With members of the band having roots from African countries and the Caribbean, this album pays homage to the West African sound. Throughout this album, it gives the listeners a feel of youth summers. You can hear children chanting, laughing. The lyrics in this album have affirmations of reminding us that tough times never last. UK-based illustrator and longtime collaborator Lucy Pinna created the album art. The band wanted drawings to encapsulate youth summers and have more representation of Black people together in the UK scene. There was some inspiration pulled from Spike Lee's 1994 Crooklyn, a semi-biographical portrait of a school teacher, her stubborn jazz musician husband, and their 5 kids living in Brooklyn in 1973. The clothing of the characters in the drawing stem from fashion looks from the 90s/2000 eras of London. With all the notes and reference, Lucy was able to create this piece. The album was released on July 11, 2025, under the London-based Brownswood Recordings record label. Physical copies available in vinyl and CD. Streaming on SoundCloud, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, and Bandcamp. In the months spanning since the album release, the band have toured internationally. From North America to Europe, to Africa, to Australia and New Zealand, and as an opening act on the Olivia Dean The Art of Living tour. In the Hey You Listen to This interview, Johan mentions how track 2, Sweetie on the album, creates a spiritual bond amongst the audience member every time they play this live. Johan also mentions how it's very important to surround yourself with those who bring out a childlike in you.
Just for context, I'm 29 years old. I've been in this band since I was 20. So it's a super formative time of your life to spend with a group of people. I remember the first tour we did right after we wrote this album. A photographer who came to take pictures of the show ended up staying with us for a couple of days, and she was sitting around us, and she was kind of silent, and I was like, "You good?" And she was like, "You guys really act like kids." And I thought that was so beautiful because it never occurred to me that we're also childlike around each other. I'm sure we all understand it's a really intimate thing to be able to be like that around people. Not everyone gets that side of you. And when she said that, it really made me think being part of this band, being with these people, really brings out the child in me. And that's what we need to be able to create, right? We need to be able to feed people. And I think that's what makes this record so special, that it's kind of childlike in its playfulness. Anyone know the song We Are? Yeah, we played it earlier. We didn't know that song sounds like a video game. I think it's really cute, or Just Can't Wait. You know what I mean? It sounds like a 70s throwback or something like that. But there's one song about Raw which I think encapsulates the love, the intimacy, the playfulness, the friendship that we will have for each other. And it's my favorite ever Kokoroko song. It's the very first song on the album for the gigs out there. Hope you enjoy the song as much as I do. This is Never Lost.
Very, very good points. Okay, so knowing how the album is, whether you've listened to it or not, it basically surrounds on the fact of tough times and how they never last. What's your take on that in life?
I think tough times is something that everyone in the world really does go through in whatever mild or extreme way that they experience it. For me, for example, I'm like an international student and I've never really felt like I belong anywhere because I was born in a different place. Kenya my whole life. My parents are from India and I came to Canada, and something that was tough for me all my life in different ways and different phases of my life was feeling like I don't belong or feeling like I don't fit in a certain way. I'm not from anywhere kind of thing. But I think those tough times never really end is what I've learned, right? The moment you get over or find a way to accept a time in your life that is tough, or you move past a certain phase of your life, there's always something new that'll come up. For me in life, for example, every place I've gone, there's been a new almost crisis I've had, or like identity thing that I've had, right? It never ends, and I think it just comes down to accepting that is how life is, and finding the beauty somehow in all of those tough times, because, you know, tough times come and go, but like the experiences that they bring, and tough times means you're learning something new, and I think there's a lot of beauty to be seen in everything that you go through in life, because I don't like seeing things in my past being like, oh, this is so terrible, this is a terrible part of my life, but rather coming out of it being like, you know, I've learned a lot from this, and that was a beautiful time of my life in whatever way it was, even if it taught me a lot. And in the time that I was experiencing it, I didn't have the best time ever. You know, you grow out of everything, and you, like, that's the point, right? You learn, and what's the point if you don't go through anything bad, like, in life? You don't learn anything, and you don't, you know, I also see it as, in order to see the beauty and joy in the good times in life, you have to also experience the sadness and the hard and the difficult, because, well, if you don't know when things are really good, do you?
Yeah, that's a super great answer. And you mentioned how, since you're not born here, were there communities or activities that you felt connected you to your culture while being away from the place you were born in?
Well, the thing is, it's weird, because the culture I was born in is not the culture that I kind of was raised in at home. As I told you, like, my parents are from India, but I was born in Kenya, and I think it just came down to, like, luckily for me, I did go to, like, an international school, for example, in Kenya, and there I found people where they were, like, they grew up in Kenya, or they're going to school in Kenya, but their parents are from somewhere else, or they grew up, like, they were born somewhere else, you know? Even if you don't find people that have the exact same situation as you, rather than thinking of it as, oh my God, I'm alone, I'm the only person, thinking of it as a thing of, like, everyone's going through something, I just have to find people that understand me. They don't have to be going through the same thing, but, you know, for me growing up, it was always like, my best friend was, she was Pakistani, and she also, her parents, she was like a second generation Kenyan, right? Her parents were also born in Kenya, but like she suffered like a similar thing of, like, you know, the food she eats at home and the culture she sees at home is not the same she sees in the country she's living in, right? And it came down to, like, even though my culture may not be the same as hers or anyone else around me, finding people that, you know, are just understand it and are willing to, you know, support me through it. And that's what, like, community has been for me growing up all my life, and even coming to university, you know, finding people around me that, obviously there's a lot of international students, right? So it's easier to find that community of people once you've, like, come to university and come to a place where students are from all over the world. I think it's also, like, a part of me accepting community and finding myself a space within other people.
That's beautiful. And our last question is, the album also talks about having childlike feelings, and what's your thoughts surrounding how, although we are adults and we are grown up, still preserving that importance of feeling childlike and having people that present that around you?
I'm quite a whimsical person, I'd say myself, and I think my friends would say that for me as well. There's a beauty in whimsy, right? Again, like, circling back to, like, the whole theme of tough times and everything, I found that one of the best ways to, like, get through that tough time is really just, like, you know, let yourself be happy about the little things, even if, like, your career isn't going great, or your education's not going great, or if something's wrong with your family or your relationship or your friends. You know, all of these are, like, such adult things, or, like, big people things to worry about. Sometimes it's just like, wow, the sun's out, and the sea is so pretty, and I love nature, and just like, oh, I love the feeling of, like, rain in my hair. And it's just really, like, the small little things that a lot of people often lose throughout childhood and lose as they grow up, that kind of ground you in place and remind you that, like, you know, everything can be still for a moment. And sometimes I find myself finding that grounding and finding that sense of, you know, calm and peace, even if it's just momentary peace, and, like, being childish and thinking of the world as, like, a very juvenile and very joyful place, because when you're a kid you don't expect, like, all the realities and, like, the scary things that you experience. And adulthood, right? You see the entire world through these like tinted glasses of like joy and whimsy, and everything's silly and everything's great. And sometimes it just like you just need to take a moment, you know, and see the world through that lens to get through times, and just, you know, I think it makes life better to see things that way.
Yeah. I guess as we grow up, like you said, we just have so much worry about the adult things that we forget about the little things that we once remembered when we were kids. Awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Perfect.